Ten,
Stand by to take studio.
7, 6,
Stand by camera 1, mics 1 and 2.
3, 2, 1.
Take studio.
Good afternoon, MCHS, and welcome to another episode of MCTV News. I'm your host, Greg Bautestein. On today's show, Skylar Lomala takes a look at MCTV's new aerial drone, AIRWOLF. Shalom McNaughton covers the recent visit of Kent Morrison and Jeff Stickle from Global News Edmonton to MCTV studios. And Steve Pritchard files a report about a family dance held in Legal. But first, here's our top story. Just over a month ago, 44 lucky individuals were able to partake in a 2-week school-organized trip to Japan. Highlights include Shinto shrines, Ghibli animation, and hardcore karaoke. Here with a look at the first week of the trip is our very own Julie Oddie.
As many of you may or may not know, the school's annual trip of a lifetime went to the main island of Japan this spring break, where students experience many different foods, as well as a vastly different culture than our own. One of the first things we experienced was a Shinto shrine.
I thought the shrines were really, just really cool. There's a lot of history behind them, and I don't know, it felt really good to be in there, and like the purification was a thing.
While we were at our first of many Shinto shrines, we also got the opportunity to see a traditional Japanese wedding. The purpose of the bride's white headdress was to cover her horns. It's very different from our culture.
I thought it was really somber. It's very put together and like very traditional, and I thought it's kind of cool that like some parts of the world still have that like ties to traditional roots.
The first large museum we went to was an art museum, a large building filled with both traditional art and modern art, completed with a large tropical garden.
It was really cool because it had like some of the more traditional, like when they first started to do art, and then it went more back to like the newer style. And my favorite part was closer to the end of our walkthrough of our museum. There were a couple large statues which I thought were pretty cool.
The Shibuya district is home to the largest intersection in the world. To most it was overwhelming. To others, however, it was not.
It was really busy, but I kind of felt in control all the time because I can get fairly assertive. And so when we were walking through, it was weird the first time crossing, but after that, not so much.
Many had high hopes for the Ghibli Museum, as it was a major part of some people's childhoods. Some people even spent large sums of money on figures and memorabilia to add to their collections. But did it fully live up to their expectations?
I believe it did live up to my expectations because there was a lot of stuff to see, and the gift shop had lots of interesting stuff you could buy. It was pretty neat, and there was lots of stuff from all the different Ghibli movies.
Karaoke in Japan is vastly different than it is here. Groups of about 10 people share a room that has a black light and glow-in-the-dark designs printed on the walls. Some people even dressed up in interesting costumes.
They had a lot of songs and costumes, and I dressed up as a swan. It was interesting, to say the least.
The Animation Museum, though not as hyped up as the Ghibli Museum, was something many people were excited for. We even got to make our own animated stories.
I was really excited when we were doing our own by drawing own animation, and it was really fun actually.
The last thing we did in the first week was visit a Buddhist temple featuring a very large bronze Buddha.
It was really fun because we got to experience more of like the actual Buddha statue instead of just like seeing it. We got to go inside of it and actually like touch inside, see like, and just feel everything.
That's it for the first half of our trip, but be sure to stay tuned for the last half, in which we saw Mount Fuji, rode the largest Ferris wheel in Japan, visited an aquarium, and even convinced the teachers and supervisors to go see Osaka's Pokemon Center. For MCTV News, this is Julie Oddie reporting.
Welcome back. Just under 2 weeks ago, the MCHS cheer team ended their season on a high note by winning a bronze medal at the provincial competition held at the Victoria School of the Arts in Edmonton. Joining us today is MCHS cheerleader Allie Fitzgerald to discuss how the season went. Thanks for being here, Allie. First question. First of all, how long ago did you start doing cheer? And what prompted you to actually become a cheerleader in the first place?
I began cheerleading in grade 6, and I've been in it for 6 years. Next year will be my 7th. I joined cheer, one, because I was like never good enough to be in any other team. I never was able to make first cut or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I'm okay with that because cheerleading has been a huge part of like my whole growing up in my junior high and high school. So I joined it just because, you know, like being on a team with a bunch of girls, it's like your second family, and it's like makes you happy. So
awesome. So obviously you won your bronze medal this year with at provincials, which was a huge thing for you guys, or for you gals, I should say. And so what were some of the other highlights from this season? Other highlights that maybe you can think of off the top of your head?
Well, my favorite part of the year is at the very beginning when we're just bonding. We do a bunch of like trust falls and like activities to get to know the girls. So that's my favorite part. But every single competition is like a huge, exciting thing because we all get like pumped up and excited, and we all like want to win so bad, and we're all there as a team, like, and becoming a family, and like going to competition together is just like really important for us.
Nice, that's awesome. Obviously, Mrs. Bulger is your coach. How is she like to work with? I mean, you've worked with her now for a few years anyways. Maybe tell the viewers at home what she's like to be as your coach.
Miss Mantika will always be Miss Mantika to us. Her name will never change. She's an amazing coach. Like, going from my primo team to this high school team has been incredible. Her coaching is amazing. She like pushes the girls to do more than they could ever think of doing, and like with her help, I've done incredible things that I'm so proud of. And yeah. Nice.
And I guess it's the end of your, I guess 6 years. You said 6-7 years you've been cheerleading. So as you got kind of, leave this year of competition, what do you take out of, all these years of being on cheer squads, both here at MCHS and at Primo? What's the biggest thing you take with you?
Well, I've always like looked at cheerleaders and thought that they were like so incredible for doing the things they do. And a lot of people say that cheerleading isn't a sport, but I see cheerleading as like the biggest sport. Like, it's dangerous and it's thrilling, and I think that the biggest thing I take away from it is just looking back at what I've done and what the team has done and what we go through every practice. I just think it's really amazing what we do.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Thanks for enlightening us on how the cheer team did this year, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, coming back after the break, we'll be bringing you the temperatures from across the country and the province, plus your extended 7-day weather forecast for Morinville. Stay tuned. All right, guys, got a really important show. Make sure you sign up for your positions, all right? All right, guys, this is serious. I don't have any hosts for the next show. I need some hosts, please. Are you kidding me? Well, I might as well go and do the titles then.
Sorry.
Get in the studio.
You get in the studio.
MCTV News. I host, so my students don't have to.
Where do you think you're going?
Alrighty, let's take a look at our weather across the country right now. Across the country, up in Whitehorse, we have a mix of sun and cloud and 10 degrees. -5, fairly cool up in Yellowknife under the sunshine at -5. Iqaluit, -8 with some light flurries. Vancouver, I can't remember a show where there hasn't been light rain over the last couple of months, but they're fairly warm today at 19, but showers. Winnipeg and Regina are going to be 17 and 14 respectively. In the eastern part of the country, we've got Toronto with some possibilities of showers at 17. Montreal looking pretty good at 20. And dropping all the way down to 0 at St. John's with a mix of flurries and rain. Let's take a look at Alberta. Alberta today, not too bad. Up in the north, obviously a little bit cooler than down south, but overall not too shabby. High level, the mix of sun and cloud in 10. Fort Mac, mix of sun and cloud in 8. Grand Prairie 14. Edmonton today looking at about 18 degrees under mixed skies. Some potential of thunderstorms out in the mountain parks, not something you see all the time, but 19 for Jasper and 21 for Banff respectively. And then Calgary and Medicine Hat looking just beautiful today, 24 in Calgary and 26 in Medicine Hat. Let's take a look at our sunrise shot here from AIRWOLF, I guess, Air Force, what am I talking about? AIRWOLF, beautiful sunrise this morning over MCHS in Morinville. Just a beautiful day and looking pretty good. Kind of windy though. Let's take a look at our current conditions. Current conditions right now in Morinville, it is 7 degrees under sunny skies, and I need, wind is going to be east at 25 kilometers an hour. Relative humidity 69%. Sunrise this morning was at 6:20, and sunset was going to be at 8:46 tonight. 7-day forecast, it's not looking great for the weekend. A lot of rain coming in, but it is going to rebound on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, getting back to just above seasonal variances. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the weather. Greg, back to you. Thanks, Booter. Over spring break, MCTV correspondent Skylar Lomala was able to cover the heartwarming story of her younger sister, Cassie, who was able to become a dolphin trainer for a day at the Clearwater Marina in Florida. The Dolphin Center there specializes in marine rehabilitation and was featured in the movie Winter's Tale. Here is her report.
Over spring break, my family and I traveled to Orlando, Florida. We did the typical Disney World, Universal Studios, touristy stuff. You know, hanging out with princesses and sweaty dudes in character costumes. It was a pretty magical week for us. But the best moments weren't spent at some theme park. They were spent here, at Clearwater Marina, a rehabilitation center for marine animals. This place is also the home of my sister's role model, Winter. Now, she doesn't look like much, but she's also the star of the 2011 movie, A Dolphin's Tale. The movie is all about the trials and tribulations that Winter and her doctors went through to help her function as a normal dolphin again, after losing her tail. This movie inspired Cassie to overcome her own struggles with disability, because when she was 3, she had a devastating brain injury that not only affected her mentally, but physically. Just like Winter, my sister had to learn how to walk again. Well, in Winter's case, it was swim again, but the struggle was the same. Trying to get yourself across a room or across a pool was a struggle. Learning how to wear something so uncomfortable like a brace. It really helped my sister learn that she wasn't the only one who went through this, that it helped her feel less alone when no one else could. So it was a dream come true when my sister learned that we were going to visit Winter at the marina. But there was one more surprise waiting for her. She was going to be a trainer for a day. And not only that, but personally meet Winter and the other 2 dolphins who lived there, Nicholas and Hope. To say she was ecstatic was an understatement. For 2 hours, she had the largest smile I had ever seen. See, the thing about Winter is she's not just another dolphin you'd meet at Marineland or SeaWorld. To my sister and to kids who've lost arms and legs and even war veterans, she's somebody they can relate to, someone who lets them know that they're not alone. What Clearwater Marina is doing and Winter is so important, not just for that aspect, but what they do for all the animals. They give them a second chance. They let them live the lives they would usually have. And this organization is so important for those who always feel left out because of these kinds of disabilities. And if you ever go to Florida and you're in Tampa Bay, Clearwater, stop by. I highly recommend it. Reporting for MCTV News, I'm Skylar Loma.
Welcome back. Here's what's happening in the world of sports. Round one of the NHL playoffs continued last night. Philadelphia staved off elimination by beating Washington 2-1. Andrew McDonald scored the winner in the second period. The Panthers tied their series with the Islanders with a 2-1 victory. Jaromir Jagr got his 200th career playoff point. Dallas beat Minnesota 3-2 to take a 3-1 series lead. And the Sharks are only one win away from the next round with a 3-2 victory over the Los Angeles Kings. Turning to the NBA, Dwayne Wayne scored 28 points to help beat the Miami Heat, beat the Charlotte Hornets 115-103. The Heat now lead the best of 7 series, 2-0. Cleveland beat Detroit 107-90, and the Clippers beat the Trailblazers 102-81. Both of them also lead their series 2-0. In the majors, the Blue Jays lost to the Orioles 4-3. The Cardinals prevented a sweep of their series with the Cubbies, winning 5-3. Washington beat Miami 3-1. The Reds edged the Rockies 6-5. Milwaukee doubled Minnesota 10-5. And the Padres, they pounded the Pirates. Try saying that 5 times quickly, 8-2. Coming up next, due to a generous donation from Champion Pet Foods, the television and media program at MCHS was able to buy some new state-of-the-art equipment. As part of this purchase, MCTV News recently began using an aerial drone, which has been nicknamed AIRWOLF by students taking the course. Skylar Lomala brings us this first look at our latest piece of video technology.
Look, up in the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's MCHS's brand new drone, AIRWOLF. Over the last few weeks, MCTV students have been learning how to fly and handle this new piece of equipment. But it's much more than a flashy new toy, as Mr. Bautistone explained.
The MCTV drone is a DJI 3, Phantom 3, an advanced model, which pretty much means that it can shoot full HD video, 1920 by 1080 pixels, and it can shoot up to 12 megapixels for photography. We decided that the drone might be a good investment for students that are doing photography and video. Not just the kids at MCTV, because there's obviously some practical applications to using it at MCTV. You can do aerial shots of, say, traffic, or just, for weather shots before, on the day of the show. But there's also a practical application for photographers to do aerial photography in our media class. But there's already practical applications that students will think of them as they come up. I think, there are applications we haven't even thought of yet.
I caught up with Daniel Foley to see how his first flight went.
A great honor being the first student to fly the MCTV AIRWOLF. I was very anxious that I was going to crash it and I was going to have to pay the school $7,000.
We look forward to seeing more drone footage in the future. For MCTV News, I'm Skylar Lomala.
Here's a look at what's going on around MCHS this week. The MCHS Religion Retreat will be held on May the 5th and 6th and is open to students from grades 9 to 12. It's a great opportunity to camp overnight, participate in fun activities, and share in faith formation. If interested, grab a permission form from the front office. On the evening of May 11th, the MCHS Drama Department presents its spring play, Sweet Surrender, at the Mornville Community Cultural Center. Tickets are $5 and are available in the front office. Tonight is parent-teacher interviews, a great opportunity for you and your parents to meet with the teachers at MCHS to discuss your academic progress. Join us in the gymnasium anytime from 5 to 8. A registered apprenticeship program information center session will be held this evening at 6:30 in room 201 for students that might be interested in entering RAP and the trades either this summer or during the next school year. For more details, please see the Lord of the RAP himself, Mr. Terry Maslick. Need to get your MCTV News fix? If so, head online to my website, www.bautistine.net. Our digital archive is expanding and will soon include all episodes aired during our last 22 seasons. For all this and other school info, keep connected by listening to the daily announcements, logging on to the school's website at www.mchs.gsacred.ab.ca, following the school on Twitter at MCHS Wolves, or following MCTV News on Twitter at MCHS MCTV News. Coming up next, back in February, the town of Legal organized a family dance for community members to be enjoyed with children and parents alike. Reporter Stephen Pritchard was there and brings us this story.
The family dance is an event that has become annual in the small town of Legal and hopes to bring the community together and families as well as newcomers as well as the community, and to show how much a community likes to get together. It's also a great opportunity to make new friends in school or even out of school and bring your families closer together. The family dance has been in the town of Legal for about 11 years now, but it seems to be something that will be long-lasting due to the popularity and how many people show up each year and the amount of funding that goes into it.
I think it's a good idea because people can socialize and meet new friends. Just because then your family can dance together and have fun and not worry about other problems they may have in their life.
Yes, I do, because it's a really good idea. So families get together and they have lots of fun, and it brings the new people together with the people from the community that has been here for a couple of years now, and I think it's a great idea. I think it brings everybody together, and so like tonight I got to meet a couple of new people, and yeah, I think it's a great idea that the school puts this on and everybody loves it.
I'm Stephen Pritchard, reporting from MCTV News.
During March Pack Day, the MCHS studios played host to Global News Edmonton anchor Kent Morrison and head photographer Jeff Stickle. Their extensive knowledge of the television industry was on display as they discussed with MCHS students how to put together an effective news report and shared tips on how to get into the industry. Shalom McNaughton brings us this story.
On the Friday, on March 18th on the Pack Day, Global News Jeff Stickle and Ken Morrison came out to MCHS to talk to a bunch of MCTV News students, tell them all about the benefits, the jobs, and also the important parts of being part of a television studio, and also all the great benefits of being part of Global News.
I started in 2010 is when I graduated from journalism school, and I got a job right after school at the CTV station in Regina, which is where I went to school. So I've been in the business for about 6 years or so. I had an internship as well, so about 6 years I've been in it. And I got into it because I liked telling stories. I was originally like a print journalist. Before I got into journalism school, I was a newspaper reporter. I wrote sports for my local newspaper. So I always thought I was going to be a newspaper reporter. But it was in school that I got a chance to do TV. I really like telling stories with pictures and with sound. So that's how I got started. That's why I got into it. I still like telling stories. I like the way that TV can help us evolve and tell different stories different ways. And so that's why I got into it. That's why I'm still doing it.
I guess it's because I feel like I'm, every story that I get assigned, it's like making a little movie. And because even with I'm paired with a reporter, I'm doing sound, I'm doing the lighting, I'm doing the camera, I'm doing a little bit of the directing, so I'm in control of what I come back with. I like doing that. I like having that control.
Jeff gets to be in there after games and things like that. I don't cover that most of the time, so but I would say it's been quite a few. I've talked to a lot of hockey players, football players, baseball players. So that's a perk of the business. We get to go places that other people can't. We say, hey, we're here with the media. We get to go check out things that other people don't normally get to see. Recently, I got to do a story about Rexall Place, where the Oilers play, and kind of the behind the scenes, how things work there, kind of stories about concerts and things like that. And so I couldn't tell you how many I've talked to as far as hockey players have gone, but it's been quite a few. And it's cool.
Well, because we get to go into the dressing room and do interviews with players, usually the day of a game and sometimes after a game, I've met a lot of hockey players, and I've been around a long time. I was around in the Gretzky years, so and actually one time he missed the team bus back to the hotel when he was playing for Los Angeles. And so he hopped in my vehicle and I gave him a ride back to his hotel. So that was kind of special.
As far as stories go, recently I got to fly to Nunavut with the military, the Princess Patricia's Light Infantry paratroopers. Then I got to be in the Hercules plane when they jumped out over the Arctic and parachuted into the Arctic. So I got to be in the plane for that, got to land at their base in Nunavut. It's the first time I've ever been to the Arctic. That was very cool for me. That was a very cool experience. I got to cover the Saskatchewan Roughriders win the Grey Cup at home in Regina. So I got to be in the dressing room when they were celebrating after with the Grey Cup. I got to be out on the streets with all the fans and things like that. And then I get to host my own show. So it was a pretty memorable moment when I got here. This is the first time it was my show. So I remember walking into the studio and sitting down for my first show, and the intro saying, the morning news with Kent Morrison and Kevin O'Connell. That was a pretty cool thing. I always remember that too, because that was the first time that it was, my name was in the headlines. So that was pretty cool.
This has been Shalom McNaught reporting for MCTV News.
Best stand-up ever. That's our show for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up on our next week's episode, Jasmine King and Giuliotti are going to tell us how to prepare beef bouillon in their cooking segment, Stir It Up. Dan Foley heads out to find out which sit-down pizza joint in Morinville is the best. And our very own Rose Van Brabant brings us a Hava Nagila music video to celebrate Passover. And we'll also have a live interview with Global News Edmonton anchor Kent Morrison. Join host Jasmine King and Giuliotti for all this, plus your sports wrap and 7-day weather forecast on the 28th edition, or the April 28th edition of MCTV News. Before I sign off, one last reminder about parent-teacher interviews this evening from 5 to 8 this evening at the MCHS gym, and that tomorrow is our school's monthly faculty meeting, so there will be no classes. From all of us at MCTV News, I'm Greg Bautestein, and you guys have yourselves a good week at MCHS.